Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back again. Sorry, still haven't had a shave, so sorry, my beard's still a bit of a mess. Hope you can hear me clear enough. Anyway, feels like it's been a bit of time since I uploaded a video, but I was looking back through my old videos to see if I made part 3, and I think I forgot to make it, so I checked through and I saw that I haven't made it yet, so I hope I didn't make it and then forget about it. But as I say, look through the list of videos I've done, I didn't see part 3 of this. But anyway, this is, as I say, part 3 of my dreams or goals or whatever to empower or support Indigenous people from across Australasia. And one of the ways of doing so would be to unite them together and also support them politically. But yeah, hopefully by, well, ASAP really, hopefully ASAP, as I say, I will support as many Indigenous people from across Australasia with my ideas, and hopefully bring together some sort of teams, and people who see this video might hopefully, 1, not think I'm too mad, and 2, see some values, at least in my ideas, where they can take those ideas on and see how we can help Indigenous Australasians in this case. Anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling, and here goes. So as I say, hopefully there can be some NGOs and projects and charities that help to make these things become a reality. Otherwise, I suppose, other than me feeling good about trying to do so, it's a bit pointless unless we can actually put it into practice. So hopefully some people out there watching this video will, I know not everyone's going to be helpful, but hopefully some people will find a way to help. So like whether that's through lobbying or writing to different companies and seeing if they'll help or whatnot. So with that being said, here goes. So as I say, this is continuing on from parts 1 and 2. Please check them out if you haven't already done so. So number 21, again, I hope to connect together Indigenous people from across Australasia, and hopefully people will watch these videos and come up with their own ideas or see what they could do to help me to put these ideas into practice. And as ever, I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section and what ideas you would have to empower Indigenous people from across Australasia. And I'd love to hear from Indigenous people from across Australasia, itself, across the whole continent. As I said before, like Aborigines, Torres and Strait Pacific Islanders, however you pronounce it, and Maoris. Sorry about my pronunciation, how you say it. But yeah, so hopefully bringing them together, and also, as I say, NGOs to learn about their culture and things like that, tradition, like Indigenous people from across Australasia talking about their history, culture, tradition, and that sort of thing from their own point of view, and being supported to become writers or to write their own biographies or to biographers or whatever, that sort of thing, and to tell their story from their own point of view about history and the environment and their culture, tradition, and things like that, so they can talk about it on YouTube and things like that. So, for instance, there probably are still a few tourism centres where you can go to find out about Indigenous Australasian culture, but I think quite a few of them have had to close, unfortunately, including one I went to around 2015 or 2014 or 2015, I think it was, maybe even before that. I think it was 2014 or 2015, I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, that had to close down because of COVID and things like that. So hopefully they can tell their story through things like Facebook, YouTube, and other forms of social media, their own websites. And I'd love to support them to do so. Number 22, I'd love to have like mentors that help Indigenous people, for instance, Indigenous Australasians, for instance, as well as bring them together and support them from all different countries or all different communities across Australasia. The groups I've just talked about, I'd love to see like bankers or banking companies or whatever, banking businesses or businesses generally, educating Indigenous Australasians in terms of how to set up a business, how banks work, how money works, how to have careers in banking. So maybe like it could be that 10% of all banking staff or bankers together would be Indigenous Australasians, and like they could be trained up to work in banking and things like that, and other areas as well. Like other people could help them with mentorship, like how to make movies or different movies for like family-friendly movies or things like that, for instance, or whatnot, and like mentor them how to, especially girls, in terms of how to become producers, directors, and that sort of thing. Also like YouTubers and tell their story through different ways like that, and like empowering them in all possible ways. Number 23, I'd love to find ways to like fundraise to support them. And again, people writing letter-headed letters to banks and businesses and governments, politicians, asking what they will do to support Indigenous Australasians, like what sort of things they could do, and maybe ministers would have to say what sort of things they will do to support Indigenous people from across Australasia. Number 24, I'd love to, as I say here, Indigenous Australasians' views on things like Indigenous Peoples Day, Australia Day, and things. I know there already are some videos like that on YouTube, and there is already some info. But I'd love to hear as much as possible from Indigenous Australasians, putting together their views through YouTube, books, and other such things, and finding ways. I'd love to find ways to help them to monetize their books, monetize their ideas through writing, their stories, and like through their art and things, like how they can monetize such things as well as possible. Number 25, I'd love to see Indigenous Australasian representation on international bodies such as the UN or things like that, so they have a voice politically which could help them in land disputes or legal rights or things like that. And I think it'd be great also to see more Indigenous Australasians in the police. I don't think they should join the military, in my opinion. I think instead the police would be a good career, or as judges, or solicitors, lawyers, or whatever they're called in Australia. I think in the UK they're called solicitors. In America they're called lawyers. So I'm not sure which one Australia uses, maybe both, but or maybe they have a different word altogether. But yeah, so within the law, so they can ensure that they get legal rights, so that they don't get treated worse than other people. Maybe there shouldn't really be favoritism either, but they're treated equally, at least, to other people, considering they were the first people in those lands. Number 26, I'd love to see tax exemptions for companies which invest in and generally support Indigenous Australasians, invest in them, invest in their businesses, train them, and things like that. So those companies who do so and donate a certain amount of their profits to Indigenous Australasians could get all sorts of tax exemptions and deals, incentives, basically, for in supporting and empowering Indigenous Australasians as much as possible. Number 27, I'd love to have a list of the top people in the future who support Indigenous Australasians, like the top companies, NGOs, charities, politicians, political parties, international bodies, businesses, and whatever else, even banks perhaps in the future that support hopefully Indigenous Australasians. Maybe there could be like a list of the top supporters and what they've done, how much money they've contributed, or if they could contribute with other things like volunteering and training and time as well. So not just money, but other things as well. I think training for long-term success is sometimes even more important than money or investments or things like that, basically. Number 28, hopefully I can turn some of the situations around for Indigenous Australasians so that they are empowered as much as possible. Number 29, I'd love to encourage mixed race and other people of colour to support Indigenous Australasians, as well as perhaps neurodiverse people like people with autism, dyslexia and ADHD, showing what strengths they have. Me being slightly dyslexic myself, with our ideas and creativity and that sort of thing, out of the box thinking. Like even these ideas I'm sharing now are sort of, I suppose, my dyslexic mind coming up with creative connections and things like that. And hopefully, as I said before, like hopefully Indigenous Australasians will find out about dyslexia, so they'll see some positive traits as well as other people finding out about dyslexia as well. And again, I think that it would be better if people of colour didn't join the military, but instead supported what I call the four, which are Indigenous people from across Australasia, Africa, the Americas, all of the Americas, and Asia, and actually also a fifth one would be Ireland as well, and Latin America could be added to it. So as I often say, either the four or the six, and like I'd love to see those groups working together, like somehow Latin Americans working together with Australasians, as well as Native Americans working with Australasians and things like that. But as many allies as possible would be great. And number 30, again, I hope to make more videos like this and connect with people, listen to NGOs, listen to other people's ideas, and see what ways we can help Indigenous Australasians, and also see what help they kind of want, whether it's financial or it's just legal rights, protection of land, or respect for like sacred land or whatever. Although I might not share their faith or their beliefs, still I think it's good to respect each other, in spite of our differences. Anyway, I think that covers everything for now, and I'm out. Peace and love. As ever, please let me know what you think.